Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dynasty Hot Seat, the only Dynasty show out there that is a certified inferno. Awesome guest this week. We got my good friend and yours, Han Roland, over here. You can find her Twitter at Han Roland. And what you guys can do, make sure you're following her and enjoy the show as she's going to give us some hints and tips for Dynasty. We're going to break down some rosters ready for week 3. So here we go. Let's get right into it. Hello. Super excited for this one. Guys, believe it or not, this is Hannah's first appearance on the Dynasty Hot Seat. Can you believe that? Obviously, she is my amazing co-host over at the Wildcard Rewind, and it's brilliant to finally get you on the hot seat, Hannah. So it's great to see you again after, we didn't see you on Monday for the Rewind, so it's great to see you again. So how are you keeping, Hannah? You all right?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, Max. And great to see you for the first time this week. Unfortunately, I was mourning my Bengals 0-2 start and their inability to play football anymore. So I couldn't make it on Monday, but I'm here. I've kind of got over it. I'm ready for week 3. Looking forward to going through a few things with you this evening, seeing what we can do for our rosters for week 3.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Hannah, do you just want to tell people where they can find you online just one more time in case they're not following you already?
Yeah, of course. So if you want to catch up with me, have a chat with me, I'm at Han Roland on Twitter. Of course, every Monday you will hear me, Mags and Paul on the Fantasy Wildcard Rewind show. And I do sometimes write at 5 Yard Rush. At the moment, things are pretty crazy, so I haven't had a chance. But get me back in on the off season. You should hopefully see some of my articles coming back up again. And this year, I have joined the crew to help organise the UK FFC event coming up next summer. So we've got some really great things in the pipeline for that. So everyone needs to keep their eyes out and go get their tickets. It's going to be an awesome event for all the UK fantasy football enthusiasts.
I've booked mine already. The second I seen it was on sale, I booked it the same day, Hannah, because I had so much fun this year.
Brilliant, Mags. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because of COVID, but I'm super excited to get down there, meet you guys, have a few drinks, have a catch up and learn a bit more about fantasy.
Hey, just be ready. Heads up, by the way, UK FFC. Everybody about 5-6 inches taller than you think. Like, not even joking. Everyone's so tall. Apart from Paul Pickett, who's tiny.
The problem is we're all so used to just seeing shoulders and head, aren't we?
Yeah.
You don't actually know what everyone looks like further down.
Everyone's very tall and everyone's very, very nice, as you would imagine. So can't wait to get back into that again. And can't wait to get into the show, Hannah. So we're gonna kick it off with just segment number 1, some hints and tips you've got for people playing Dynasty, just in general. Could be for week 3, could be in general, whatever you're wanting. So what do you got for us?
Well, my first tip would be make sure that you know that your opponent. I think a lot of people go out there and they look at their own teams and they say, right, who shall I start from my team this week? And they don't even look at who they're playing against. They don't look at what players they've got. Because I think it does actually make a massive difference as to how you should look at setting your lineup. If you look like you're going to win it, then really in your flexes, you might want to be looking at those safe floor players that will still get you points, but kind of keep you over that win, barrier. If you look like you're going to lose it by a mile, you want all your upside players in those flex spots to try and smash you up, hope they get a load of touchdowns and actually get you that miracle win. So I think it is really important to think about your opponent and not just about your own team. And I think that is a common mistake people do make. And I think you do get some wins and losses based on how you look at your roster compared to your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to get, caught up in your own little world and, kind of pondering over, who am I going to start here, the player X or player Y, and actually just take a moment to just have a glance over and see that this guy you're playing against is actually, starting, I don't know, Marquez Valdez Scantling or something, or someone like a high risk player thinking, right, if they're zigging, I might zag. I might go conservative. If they're going to take all these risks, I might play it safe. And yeah, just have a look at and see what your projected points are, even though it's not, a definite accurate. I can tell you for sure it's not definite accuracy because Sleeper tells me I'm going to win every week and I always lose every week. So it's absolutely terrible. But yeah, have a look at your team, what projected points are, and adjust accordingly. So love that as a first step, Hannah. And you got a few more for us. What treat?
Just a couple more. The next one is actually just pay attention. Keep an eye on what's going on around the league. So like weeks 1 and 2 are those kind of times when teams are settling into their groove. They're trying to kind of figure out who are the best players to have in what situations. So you're going to start seeing kind of in week 3 onwards, they're like settling out. So you might find that some players in weeks 1 and 2 who are giving you massive fantasy points might actually start to get less work and start to kind of peter out. And you might find that those that have started slowly are going to start to, get going and start to get you some fantasy points. So I kind of think that this is kind of a good point, especially in Dynasty, where you want to start looking at who are those sell highs and who are those buy lows, because I think kind of the early season window for that is starting to close now. So I think it's really important to kind of pay attention who's sliding up, who's starting to look a bit better, who's kind of, getting less work, looking not quite as good for your fantasy stock, and see who you can pick up or get rid of on your roster. So just really pay attention to what is going on in the league and what can you take advantage of.
Yeah, it's so hard sometimes, though, right? To kind of stick with what your gut knows. Like, for example, I got 1 million shares of Tua, and I've never received an offer for Tua in my life, and all of a sudden it's like ping, 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 ping. People want to buy him. Offers 2 weeks ago, I would have smashed accept, but now I'm like, oh, but what if he throws 6 touchdowns every week? Even though I know that's stupid, I know it, and I still can't bring myself. It's hard, right?
Yeah, I actually declined an offer on Trey Lance last week, and actually it was a reasonable offer. I kind of wasn't really paying attention properly, and I was like, oh, this doesn't look good enough. I was kind of thinking more of it as a super flex league, but actually it was a 1 QB, and then obviously he had his injury. You can never, predict injuries.
No.
And I'm sure his stock will obviously go back up once he comes back off his injury. But I'm a little bit regretting that I kind of didn't pay enough attention. So it's another one where you want to pay attention to your trades as well. What are people including? If it's reasonable value or you think that you can negotiate a bit, why not give it a go if you think that's good for your team? But
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I love that as a second tip. Just pay attention. And you got one more for us, Hannah? You got 2 more for us? How many you got?
Just a one more kind of week 3.
Perfect.
Not kind of hints and tips, or just kind of some matchups that I was maybe looking at for players for my flex positions.
Yeah.
Now what seems to be the obvious one is Bills Dolphins, isn't it? You had that massive Dolphins Ravens game last week, and the Bills seem to be kind of smashing it on every team, including the reigning Super Bowl champions. I think any players in this are going to be good. I think, to be honest, most of these won't be in your flex spots. These will be smash starts anyway. The other sneaky one that I quite liked was Lions Vikings. I think this Lions offense are kind of sneaky good. They're getting quite a few, high point games. The defense isn't amazing. So I think the Vikings are going to start out strong. So I think the Lions are going to need to do some catch up. And we can see they've been, quite explosive really the last couple of weeks. Amon-Ra has got things going, DeAndre Swift. So I think this could be a sneaky high point close game that I think you could sneak some people into your flex spots. And my final one is Eagles Commanders. Again, this Commanders team, not that keen on it, but this offense has really kind of got going with those wide receiver playmakers. Samuel Curtis has come in as that kind of all-purpose wide receiver, running back kind of role. And,
all the way around, sorry. Curtis Samuel. Samuel Curtis is like a librarian somewhere, right? That's
totally. But clearly he's in my head. Not Curtis Samuel. But he's come into that all-purpose role, and then you've got Terry McLaurin and the new Dotson, and I think they kind of make Carson Wentz look a little bit better. he still looks Wentzian, but they're getting points on there. So I think that could be a sneaky good matchup as well, that you could sneak some players into your flex spots there. Any matchups that you've kind of been thinking about, Mags? You quite like the look of?
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, you brought up that the Lions Vikings game, and that's kind of one I had my eye on as well, because the Lions, I am rooting for the Lions. I can't help myself. I want them to win. I think it's like a real underdog story. I love the head coach over there. He just seems like he's got almost an impossible job in his hands. The defense isn't helping him out a lot, but they're really good at coming from behind as well, because that offensive line is so good, and they've got so many weapons for Jared Goff. And I was remember about Jared Goff. We were on the what were we on? We were on the wild card. Yeah, we were on the wild card podcast, and it was Kev that said that Jared Goff was one of his like wild card selections for flag plants. And I was reviewing the pick, and I was like, I really want to hate this pick, but actually, the more I dug into it, the more I thought Jared Goff is probably going to have a really good year, and so far he is. So that's almost a sneaky super flex play there as well as Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking better than Matt Ryan, and who would have thought that at this stage?
Man, Matt Ryan took him in my Scott Fishbowl team. Minus 10 points last week. Absolutely devastated. No. Let's move on, Hannah. Let's move on to segment number 2.
We'll talk about that.
Before I get too upset about Matt Ryan. And we're going to dive into, we're going to look at teams for week 3. And actually, we picked a league that we're both in, Hannah. It is absolutely legendary league, the League of Extraordinary Hatchet Men, run by everybody's good friend Evan Brown as well, with a lovely trophy that I'm looking forward to having sitting right here by the end of the year. Actually, I mean, I'd have to sort my team out first, because you can see the problem right away, Hannah. I've got Mitchell Trubisky sitting at quarterback, so we're off to a bad start. So let's run down the team, and we'll see who I've got. I've got, obviously, Trubisky at quarterback, Derrick Henry, slow start, and Austin Eckler at running back. We got Robert Woods, Jerry Jeudy, and Brandon Cooks, Gerald Everett at tight end. And then in my flex, I've got Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, TJ Hawkinson, and Russell Wilson, my quarterbacks. Not off to a good start at all. Hey, I've still got Cam Newton there. That's because there's absolutely no one on the waiver wire. I thought about dropping him, but I can't pick up anyone up. So I thought I'll wait until I see it. Maybe Cam will sign for someone, you never know. Marcus Mariota's there. Jeff Wilson, who's obviously been playing well. Eno Benjamin, Raheem Mostert, Zaquandre White, a blast from the past. He was on that Dolphins team. He's still in the practice squad. I thought I want to just own a Dolphins running back. Maybe he'll get a chance. Doesn't look likely at the minute. Isaiah McKenzie, Kiki Kuti, who I picked up, thinking maybe he'll get a shot with all of those Colts receivers injured. He'll probably be dropped in the near future. Julio Jones in there. We got Devontae Parker. AJ Brown, who I took in the very last round. I'm keeping him. You never know. Although he's not going to play. We got Treadwell, and people watching this as well, you'll see. This is a deep roster. There's not a scrap on the waiver wire. We got Treadwell, Cole Beasley, who's obviously just signed at Tampa Bay. Got him on there when he was a free agent. We got Perryman. We got Gordon, who's not at Tennessee. We got Watson from the Chiefs, who looks pretty good. Donald Parham and Cole Kmet. And then I've got Dak Prescott and Calvin Ridley sitting out, along with a couple of people sitting on the taxi squad. So, I mean, Hannah, whenever I drafted this team, I felt great, and I'm feeling less great by the second about it. What do you think?
Well, it's a bit tough, isn't it? Because you have lost Dak, and that is a massive blow when you're having to start Trubisky at QB. So already that's a big blow. Unfortunately, Derrick Henry's not looking fabulous so far this year. And so he kind of has put a dampener on things.
Yep, 100%.
Robert Woods should have been wide receiver 1 on the team, but seems to be doing very little. Yeah. Judy's now injured. It's a little bit tough sledding, isn't it, for this team?
Yeah, but it looked great on paper, but it's just not come together at all. Which is a real shame for it.
I'm really disappointed in Eckler so far this year.
Yeah,
he's just not. I had a feeling it would happen, but didn't want to believe it, so I still took him in the first round, and he's disappointed, hasn't he, so far? Everett's great though.
Everett doing great. I'm trying to sell him in some leagues for 23 seconds. No bites so far, but I think surely non-tight end premium mostly, but I'm thinking I can get a bite at a 23-second for Everett at some stage. And then I'm liking the running back depth. I kind of went a bit all in to try and win this year because I took Henry quite early and I thought, oh, it's absolutely disappeared. I thought, right, I'm going to have to go all in here. So, well, let's see if you can help me out then, Hannah. I'm going to try and set my lineup for week 3. So you're going to assist me. We're going to work together and see if we can't find a good starting lineup. So I think, well, let's look. I've got Trubisky and Wilson. The only thing I could do here, realistically, is I could put in Marcus Mariota. So Russell Wilson, I think, is definitely going to play, right?
Yeah.
And my other option is taking out Trubisky, who's playing Cleveland, and putting in Mariota, who's playing the Seahawks. What are your thoughts on that? Who would you choose out of those two?
I would say neither of those matchups are particularly desirable.
Yeah.
But, I do wonder about Mariota here. Trubisky
Yeah.
didn't have the best time last week. The Steelers fans are already chanting to get rid of him.
Yeah.
I think that could potentially kind of rattle him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, they're a hot mess at the moment.
Yeah.
Mariota, he's not been doing bad things. They put up some quite good, numbers against the LA Rams last week. I would consider moving Mariota in, I think, and taking Trubisky out.
I was thinking the same thing. And do you know what I think's going to happen? I think Kyle Pitts is going to come back with a vengeance in week 3. People have been talking smack about him. Paul Picken talking smack about Kyle Pitts, right? I think he's going to come back with a vengeance. And Mariota's going to benefit from that. So I'm going to lock in Marcus Mariota as the quarterback. Now, running backs, in the starting running back slot, we got Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler at the minute. So people I could take out to put in there, we've got Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs, who are currently in my flex spot. On the bench, Jeff Wilson, Eno Benjamin, Raheem Mostert, and then probably some people we don't actually really care about. So the one that's standing out to me there, Hannah, is Jeff Wilson. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't see how you cannot play Eckler. Like, I think Eckler has to stay. And I also, I would feel, although Henry hasn't done great, I would feel, I don't know. I don't know whether I'd want to swap Jeff Wilson out for Henry. I think he potentially could be a good flex play.
Yeah.
When we get to the flex spots, but I just don't know how you remove 2 studs.
I just can't. Yeah, I can't physically bring myself to remove Derrick Henry for Jeff Wilson. It would feel too wrong. So I can't do it. But let's see if we can sneak in Wilson in a flex spot. My wide receiver position is one I did kind of fade in the draft. I thought absolute genius move picking up Robert Woods in the later rounds. I mean, now I'm just a little bit scared about what he's done. So, I mean, I'm happy if Jerry Jeudy's fit. I'm happy with him, but who knows? And Brandon Cooks as well is usually pretty safe. So let's see who I've got to replace Robert Woods. Isaiah McKenzie, Julio Jones is out, Devontae Parker. And then these guys at Tampa Bay, Beasley and Perryman, are an option as well. The other guys, less of an option, really, to be honest. Do I have anyone on my taxi? Nah, nobody really worth talking about there. Has anyone stood out for you there, Hannah? Anyone you've seen who's a sneaky start, maybe ahead of Woods?
Well, I think I would go for an upside play over Woods. I mean, I just don't see an upside to Woods at the moment. So I think it might be worth taking a punt on either one of these Tampa Bay receivers.
Yep.
I do like McKenzie, and you could try and take a punt and see if he gets a touchdown. My concern is that he's still splitting that role, isn't he? He hasn't managed to grab hold of it with both hands, so I'd be a bit weary. But you could potentially say, can I put him in and try get a TD out of him? I'm really not too keen on Devontae Parker. Although it seemed like he had lots of promise in the off season, he just doesn't seem to have done a lot there. So I think I would have to be looking at maybe one of these Tampa Bay receivers. Look, if Julio was a go, he would be my choice. Yeah. But I suspect he isn't because he hasn't been practicing. The question is, do you go Beasley? Do you go Perriman? Beasley only turned up this week, but you know what he did in Buffalo. we know he can rack up those points, especially in a PPR league.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Perryman, he's done all right, with everyone out. He might be one of the, along with Beasley, one of the only wide receivers on the field.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I might actually, if Beasley was active, I may consider taking a punt on him,
Yeah, I'm just looking at that little exclamation mark that says Perryman as well. Says he's questionable. I don't know what that is. So Beasley, he looks like he's the only guy with a clean bit of health.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's put Cole Beasley in for now, right? And then I'll see what happens with Perryman. See if he gets cleared. It's a later game on Sunday, so hopefully, we'll get news early-ish and not later than the other games have kicked off. So I'll have to keep a close eye on that and have to keep checking the rap sheet and all of those good Twitter accounts that let you know about injuries and who's playing and who's not. But yeah, Robert Woods.
I just don't see anything.
No,
it's
frustrating. By the way, if you're listening, put all your money on Robert Woods scoring 2 touchdowns this week because I've just taken him out my lineup. Right, he's going to have an absolutely gangbuster showing right away. So we'll put in for now. We'll get the new guy in, Cole Beasley, in the wide receiver slot with Jerry Jeudy. If Jerry Jeudy's fit, I'm happy with him starting, and Brandon Cooks the same. Is there any other guys you've seen on the bench that you would take out for those two?
No, definitely not.
No, I don't think so either. Gerald Everett at the minute, tight end 4 on the year, I believe. Gerald Everett absolutely killing it. Up against the Jags, pretty good matchup for him. I have TJ Hawkinson. He's sitting in my flex at the minute. I think my other option is Cole Kmet. Yeah, Cole Kmet and Donald Parham. Cole Kmet, so
another
frustrating.
Guy, I know. Nothing.
Should be lighting the world on fire and just hasn't got going just yet. That Chicago team is terrible. But they are playing the Houston Texans, who, I actually favor the Texans to win that game, but Cole Kmet might see a bit of action. Would you be tempted at all to take out Everett for Kmet? Me neither.
Absolutely not. Right? No way.
I can't do it. Yeah, so we'll leave in Gerald Everett.
Yeah, I prefer him to Hawkinson as well at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's just absolutely killing it right now, right? And Hawkinson, he's questionable as well. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. And I'm pretty happy here with Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. Would you swap out, Jeff Wilson is the only other person I can think of? Would you put in Jeff Wilson for Jones, Jacobs, or Hawkinson possibly?
The only one I would maybe think about would be Hawkinson. The only thing with the San Fran running back is, one, they're like one touch away from an injury. And two, I suppose now we've got Garoppolo, we don't have the Lance factor. But I don't know. I'm not totally convinced with him, if I'm honest. Like, he's useful if you feel you need to put him in. But I think I don't think we're at that point where I feel we need to put him in at this stage. I would probably not.
Yeah, we'll hold on Hawkinson because that's expected to be a bit of a shootout there as well, right? So hopefully Hawkinson can get his fair share of yards and maybe even snag a touchdown or two. And then Russell Wilson, I mean, I've got nobody else. Yeah, Russell Wilson, another guy, he's been rubbish, really, right? Actually, there's no real other way. He's just not looked like Russell Wilson at all. And hopefully that will turn around. I need a lot of things to turn around for this team to turn around. I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to hit the panic button yet, Hannah. But if we get to week 5, we get to some of the bye weeks, and I'm a 1-4 or 1-5 or 1-4, I'm going to start hitting the panic button and I'm going to start selling like everything, like selling like it's going out of fashion because this team is kind of old. And if it's not going to win this year, then I need to evacuate, get off ship, and get these players to the contenders who hopefully will pay a premium for them.
Yeah, definitely. The only other thing about this league is obviously it's a Titan premium and they've got pretty hefty. I think it's a 4-point bonus PPR. Yeah. So I would definitely not take Hawkinson out and put Jeff Wilson in. I think he's there if you get an injury or if Henry is a complete disaster over the next couple of weeks, you can switch him out. But I think he's got to stay on the bench for now. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? like you say, it looked great on paper and it's just not come together in the season. It's been a weird start so far, to be honest. There's been a lot of players.
Yeah, exactly.
See how we go over the next few weeks. Like you say, start selling off as and when we need to.
Yeah, exactly. It's been an odd start, but I'm confident enough with the ability of these players that they can manage to turn that around. And we're just going to pull that stream away just for a sec, Hannah, and we're going to go in to your matchup here against our good friend Luke, who you're playing this matchup. And Luke, obviously, he's got Jalen Hurts, right? Well, why don't we take? I'm sure Luke won't mind if we show his team as well, right? He's a friend of the show, so let's have a little look, because one of your tips was have a look at the team you're playing against. So let's do that for you as well, and let's have a look at the team you are playing. So, I mean, he's got a pretty strong team. Luke always does a good job drafting. Can I zoom out a little bit? There we go. So yeah, he's got Hurts and Taylor and Cook and Hill and Michael Thomas, Cortland Sutton, my boy Irv Smith. We share a mutual love for Irv Smith, Tony Pollard and Keenan Allen sitting in there in the super flex spot. Rashad Penny and then Jameis Winston in the super flex. So Hannah, you got your work cut out for you this week, because that is a very strong team that Luke has built. And let's have a look at who you've got in here. You got Lamar Jackson. You got Breece Hall and J.D. McKissick in there, Tyler Boyd, Devante Adams, Devonta Smith, Dawson Knox, Uncle Lenny, Leonard Fournette, AJ Dillon, Zack Moss, and Daniel Jones sitting there at the moment. So what are your first thoughts on that? We'll have a look at the predicted points, right, Hannah, and we'll see. So you have 40% to... But, I mean, if you look at the scores, you're 2-0, he's 0-2, right? So you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. The problem I have with this team is my depth is not fabulous, as you will see.
Yeah.
And I lost Tim Patrick pre-season, and I also have a suspended Arizona, I can't remember his name.
Hopkins.
Yeah. So I've got Hopkins, who also he's affecting me at the moment. I need him.
Yeah.
If I'd have thought about it when I drafted, I should have picked someone that can help me. But having said that, I've managed to start relatively strong. So it may be that I can kind of stay afloat until week 6, and then hopefully he can help me out and get us kind of into the playoffs and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a little zoom in and let's have a look then at your options, will we?
Let's do it.
So you got Lamar Jackson. You got to pull it up on your phone. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to your quarterbacks. You got Lamar Jackson, and your other quarterbacks you got on the roster. You got Daniel Jones. I mean, you've got is it Bailey Zappi? You got Chase Keenum, Jordan Love, and then Zach Wilson, who's unfortunately injured, and Gardner Minshew as well in a quarterback. Obviously, it looks like your two QBs are kind of locked in there, barring I think you're going to go with Daniel Jones and you're going to go with Lamar Jackson, right? Unless have you got any other strategies there?
No, I don't think I have a choice. It's Lamar and Daniel. Yeah. Lamar hopefully will give me enough points that we can drag Daniel Jones through.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. I said it on Monday. Daniel Jones is holding that team back. I think he's maybe not long for a starting role at the Giants at least. So we'll see what he can do. He's playing for his job now. Maybe that'll produce good things from Daniel Jones. So we'll have to wait and see. And you got Breece Hall and J.D. McKissick locked in as your running backs at the minute. So let's have a little browse and see your other options there at running back. Honey, you got Leonard Fournette, AJ Dillon. You've got Zack Moss, who's been used way more than I ever expected. I thought we would never hear the name Zack Moss again, but he's doing a lot more than I think a lot of people thought. And other options you got Jerick McKinnon, who again has been pretty solid at the Chiefs. You got Amir Abdullah, you got Philip Lindsay, Derek Gore, and I think that's all for your running backs. So you thinking about changing up any of the running backs there, Hannah, at the minute?
Well, I mean, some of this has to be based on or looking at time of that games are played. Now, it doesn't really matter, I don't think, particularly on the Sunday slates. But to me, Lenny needs to stay in.
Yeah.
On the roster somewhere, whether that's in a running back slot or a flex spot.
Yes.
And I also think that Dylan needs to stay. Breece Hall is ramping up, so
Yeah.
I would be very happy if he stays in the lineup. JD McKissick.
Breece
Go
Hall
on.
as well, Hannah. Breece Hall, very easy matchup this week.
Oh, yeah, probably. To be fair, our defense isn't too terrible. It's our offense. So we'll see. If we can have DJ Reader there, I reckon he'll put a few stops on Hall and Carter, but they'll probably win. We lost to them last year, and that was with Mike White. So I have no expectations.
I forgot about that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think the Bengals have a bounce back week, by the way, just for my full discretion. I think Bengals bounce back and beat the Jets fairly soundly.
I said that last week against Cooper Rush, and look where we are. So
who
knows what Joe Flacco is going to do to us.
Yeah.
So I like the upside for Breece as well. I need upside. We've seen Luke's team. He's got Taylor. He's got all of the the big guns. We need the upside. So I think we should keep Breece Hall in.
I completely agree. And then with J.D. McKissick there as well, I think for the running backs that are on your starting roster at the minute, with Leonard Fournette and A.J. Dillon, J.D. McKissick and Zack Moss maybe stand out there, but then you're thinking Jerick McKinnon, is he going to come in for either of those, or are you not bothered really?
Well, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because week 1 we didn't really see much of Jerick McKinnon, and then last week we actually saw quite a reasonable amount, and he got a TD. So I mean, he is an option. I think basically, I think we should have Breece Hall. I think we should have Leonard Fournette, and I think we should have A.J. Dillon in two running back slots and a flex. And then I think the discussion then comes of what we're going to do with the last 2 flex spots. So do we keep Zack Moss in? Do we keep JD McKissick? Safe floor probably for McKissick, but probably not much for ceiling. So, McKinnon probably has potentially more chance of getting some TDs. So we could look at swapping those out, but I think it's also worth looking at the wide receiver room, seeing what we've got there and see if we want to put those in the flex spots. So I think a discussion to be had once we've had a look at the wide receivers.
Let's do that. Let's have a little look at the wide receivers then. You got, your boy Tyler Boyd in there, right, from the Bengals. And then you got, Devante Adams, he's not going anywhere, right? Even though he had a bit of a funny game last week, right? Started off like white hot and then with a touchdown, I think he got, 5 or 6 more receptions after that. And that touchdown was almost right away. I think he got 5 or 6 more targets, not even receptions, the rest of the game. Bizarre. But I don't expect that to happen too much with Devante Adams. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league, so I think he's pretty safe. Devontae Smith, the other Devontae, finally, right? He's come a bit to light. Jalen Hurts, my eyes did not deceive me. Jalen Hurts was passing the ball absolutely beautifully. I thought I'd never see it. And, bit of inside scoop for everyone not watching. Certain Hannah Rowland calling me out on our little wild card chat saying, how dare you say Jalen Hurts might be a bust? And tell you what, I'm looking pretty bad right now, Han, right? He's looking amazing, and Devontae Smith is benefiting.
It's just unfortunate that, your run plant didn't age particularly well. Unfortunately, my plant has now injured, so I'm probably in the same boat, although I reckon if he wasn't injured, then, he probably would have done quite well. Yeah, he's looking really good, isn't he? And the addition of A.J. Brown has just changed everything on this team. Now, week 1, Brown was getting all the targets, wasn't he? Catching a lot. I think week 2, then they're like, right, we're going to double team Brown, make it a bit more difficult for him. And obviously Smith starts to get going. So I'm hoping that'll continue. Week 1, I was looking a little bit despondent. But I'm hoping as we now get into week 3, Washington, not the best defense. On paper, they should be pretty good, but they just cannot seem to bring it together.
No.
So I reckon, Brown and Smith could have a field day in this game. I don't think we're going to see as high scoring as the 2 Dolphins wide receivers, but I think it could be a possibility, depending on how well they run the ball as well.
Yeah, I think Smith is a good shot in there at the wide receiver position. And you obviously spoke about upside earlier, Hannah, and I'm seeing a guy there, your tight end is starting. Dawson Knox just screams upside. He is 2 touchdowns in waiting almost every single game, right? With Josh Allen as quarterback. I think, playing this team that Luke has, you're going to have to really go for it. I think Dawson Knox is guaranteed locked in, especially in tight end premium. Are you agreeing with me there? Or are you thinking, no, we need to change it up?
No, I think we've got to keep him in there, haven't we? We know that the Miami game is a potential to be another high scorer. I'm just hoping that he managed to grab one of those TDs off Gabe Davis if he's back, or Stephon Diggs, and if in that and a few receptions, we're off to a flyer.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for that game, by the way. After last week, Miami Buffalo, can't wait to see that. That'll be absolutely brilliant. I'll be glued to that game. And then we've got, in the flex spots, we kind of talked about these guys earlier. We've got Leonard Fournette and AJ Dillon and Zack Moss sitting in the flex. So let's go back and have a look at the bench and see, are any of these kind of receivers that you have on the bench looking like they could end up playing? I mean, obviously, Odell Beckham can't. This is a big one, right? If Michael Pittman Jr. is fit, he's 100% going in, right?
100%. But I guess the question then is, what we can consider is, do we drop Boyd totally onto the bench, or do we put him in a flex spot, and do we drop a Zack Moss or a JD McKissick?
I would be thinking the latter.
Yeah, put Boyd in a flex.
Yeah,
exactly that. That's exactly what I was going to say. To be honest, those two were kind of not desperation plays, but not really anyone else, particularly available. Didn't know McKinnon was going to do in week 2 because we hadn't seen him in week 1.
Yeah.
So those two were the safest plays for week 2, and I beat Evan with them. So well pleased with that.
Yeah, exactly, Evan. Guess who beat Evan in week 1? This guy. So Evan, 0-2. You got us right here.
So shall I move Michael Pittman?
Yeah.
I'm sure he got a full day of practice today, full practice. So
I think it looks like he'll be back.
Wide receiver slot.
Awesome.
And I'm going to move Tyler Boyd into a flex spot, and I'm going to take out Zack Moss for now because
done.
Has it worked? Done.
Yep. Oh, wow,
so then the last question is, do we want to keep in JD McKissick, or do we want to switch him out? Well, I have no other options at wide receiver. As you can see, my other two are on IR, Tim Patrick and DeAndre Hopkins. So really then the options are Noah Fant or Zack Moss or Jerick McKinnon. I have to say, I've not been particularly happy with Fant either.
No.
I don't think. I'm not sure what the upside is on that Seattle offense. I think I'd rather keep JD McKissick in with his receiving work, get some PPR points, than putting Noah Fant in.
Yeah, I got an offer for a Sheriff Girl Everett I had. Someone offered Noah Fant and a third or a fourth, and I was like, no. I don't want anything to do with him. I can't have him. I'd rather just keep Girl Everett. And I thought I'd never say that 6 months ago, right? Imagine getting a trade offer Noah Fant for Girl Everett. Smash accept. And now it's like, nah, don't want anything to do with it. Really, really odd game we play, isn't it, Hannah? But yeah, I completely agree with you. I wouldn't put Fant in either. So I think are we kind of locked in, you think, then with this lineup?
I think so. I think we're good to go. Got to hope that Boyd gets a load of receptions this week and maybe a touchdown.
Yeah. Hey, look, we got you're up 3%. 3%. Look at that. That's not bad. 3% is a good return. So let's have a look then at the final lineup. You got Lamar Jackson, who's playing the Patriots, who are absolutely awful at the minute. So that's a good sign. And you got Breece Hall and JD McKissick in as your running backs. I mean, now look how much better this wide receiver core looks as soon as Michael Pittman gets put in. You get Michael Pittman, Devante Adams, and Devontae Smith in there. That is, as good as it gets, Hannah. That is going to get you loads and loads of points, I'm sure, this week. And Dawson Knox in at tight end, and then Leonard Fournette, AJ Dillon, Tyler Boyd, and Daniel Jones. Hannah, that team's in with a shot. I know Luke's got a super strong team, but you're definitely in with a shot there. How are you feeling about this week's matchup?
Yeah, I think it's, it could do sneaky well. It's one of those where you look at it and you say, meh, there's not actually, a lot there. But all I need is a fill my flex spots to get a touchdown, which is perfectly possible. I'm a tight end, and I reckon there's a good chance that I could come away with W there.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
I
I'm
actually just
feeling all
thought,
right.
Hannah, I actually just thought we never did it for. I never took your advice. Very sorry, I never took your advice for my own team. So let's pull up who I'm playing. I'm playing. Oh, look at who it is. We're playing Liam
Oh,
over at the 5 Yard Dynasty crew, and he's got Tua, so I'm doomed. He's got Tua. He's going to get 90 points. I'm absolutely doomed. So let's have a look. We got Tua. He's got Michael Carter starting. Okay, can't believe Matt doesn't have Michael Carter in that league. Come on, Matt, what are you doing? We got Clive Edwards-Helaire, Chris Olave, Rashad Bateman, AJ Brown, Mike Gesicki and Zach Ertz, tie-in premium, Sterling Shepard, interesting, Khalil Herbert, and Kyler Murray. That's going to be a super tight matchup, I think, just going up and down. Hannah, what do you think?
yeah. Yeah, I think he's got one of those teams where it'll either bust or it'll go off. And
Yeah,
it's one of those boom or bust kind of teams, you know. Olave, he's done okay, but hasn't done much for fantasy yet. But
yeah.
I think he's been a favoured target, so I think he's got a chance of having a big week or one coming up anyway. Again, Michael Carter, currently the RB1, could potentially run in some touchdowns,
Yeah.
but could all. So as I say, I think he's kind of boom or bust, and probably the same with you. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Great to see what the result is.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute shootout. And if my luck in this league kind of, I'm 1-1 actually, so I'm not too bad. But hopefully my luck will turn a little bit, and I'll get some of these guys starting to produce more to the level that we're wanting to see. So, Hannah, that's it. We've had a little review of both teams. We've had a little preview of week 3, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's been a long time coming. Have you enjoyed your time on the hot seat? It wasn't too strenuous. The heat didn't get to you too much.
Yeah, I've had a great time. I've warmed up now, all ready for the evening.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks for having me, Mags. I've had a great time. I hope my choice of Cole Beasley might pay off for you, but I don't know. We'll see how things go. If everybody wasn't out on the Bucks, I'd be like, no way. But since he's probably the only one with 2 legs at the moment, I think you've got a chance.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think there's a chance there with Cole Beasley. And Hannah, just want to remind people one more time, where can they find you online?
Yeah, so you can catch me on Twitter at Han Rowland, or every Monday evening you will find me on the Fantasy Wildcard Rewind show with Mags and Paul. Yes. We'd love to see you and for you to have a listen, and good luck this week, Mags, with your team.
Thank you very much. You too, Hannah. And guys listening, so say thank you so much for tuning in again. Hey, look behind me here. We got the Hall of Flame. Let's get Hannah on there, right? Easy to do. Go on YouTube. Give the video a thumbs up. Maybe give it a subscribe while you're at it. Who knows? Let's see what happens. But I'd love to see Hannah on there. So let's see. The more she gets, the more chance she's getting onto that top 3. So that'll be brilliant to see. So Hannah, thank you once again for coming on. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you, everybody, for listening once again. And hopefully all your teams in week 3 will stay lit. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.